What? I don't went in my family.
Got married again?
Me, my niece.
All right, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yes, yeah, because I was sitting in that spot.
I want to be in
The main guy.
It's in her email.
Actually,
Hey, Mike, one quick thing. This was missing secondary or first main minutes.
You will notify her?
Yeah. I'm sorry, we keep missing each other, but that's-
It is now, it is now 5:06. Will please rise. Someone lead us on the count.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Call this meeting to order. Councilperson Tim Kelly.
Present.
Councilperson Diana Klein.
Here.
Councilperson Greg Simpson. Here. Councilperson Debbie Dougherty.
Here.
Council Supervisor Mike Wamsley here. All right. And absent as John Perry, Town Attorney, Matt Jankowski is present also. And Tracy Kellogg, our, excuse me, our town clerk is present also. We have back on the back table there, a sign-in sheet for those people that want to speak. I have a public comment, which is, starts now. I'm motion to open public comment.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So be it. So was everyone on that list?
No, I didn't sign that list.
It's okay, it's okay. All right. Where's the
Here's the
microphone
mic,
over here?
it's over here.
Name's Andre Clark, 144 Hilltop. I would like to see in the spring, the free drop off of brush be brought back to the dump. I'm sure it would save the town money. And even 25% of the people brought the brush to the dump. How much quicker the proof to go through the neighborhoods and be done with it? You know?
I just want, I know I'm not supposed to respond to you, Steve, but
Oh.
the next
It's
year.
on the agenda tonight, but
Yes, it's gonna, we're passing a resolution to do
I'm not
that.
sure why it got removed years ago, but
Well, we're gonna be reinstated.
yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because first of all, like I spoke to Mike Schultz, and it's a drain on his budget, first of all. It's a drain on his manpower. When reality speaking, you can bring your brush
So
too.
it's a win-win.
You got it.
Sure is.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no one else wants to speak, a motion to close, public comment,
Second.
all in favor? Okay, all right, minutes here, oh, not yet. Jumping the gun there, Joseph. All right, first of all, to approve the minutes have not been done yet, they'll be put in sometime this week for last time. Let's go with the closed report.
So the clerk report for April, we have a total of, sorry. We have a total of $16,283.57. Yeah. Also got
Well, you missed that,
Sorry.
Tracy.
No, you just need to be clear that that's not the extent of our sources.
Yeah, that is money that comes through our BAS system where we're collecting building permits, zoning permits, dog licenses, marriage licenses. So it's not it's not what the town budget operates. But it does help.
So this is your office.
Right. And it's not all, money that my office generates, but it's money that we collect and run through the accounting system. But that does not include, because we're controlling it separately right now, it does not include the transfer station either. And I am no longer contagious, but my system is now compromised, which is why I'm wearing the mask.
All right, motion to accept clerk's report.
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
So accepted. All right, before we get to new business, with Shabazz, I just want to say something. We had bid come in to do Wildwood drainage. And we had bids in, we are now going over the bids. And so, the drainage program at Wildwood, that took 17 years to happen, is happening. Okay, new business. We have a presentation from Zero Waste. That's gonna be 15 minutes long, we hope.
I'm speaking at Greg's request. So just I'm gonna run through and maybe at the end, if there are questions, I'm gonna format to do that for this. As you can see, the key points of Zero Waste Hurley. We want to identify 20 to 25 households that are willing to participate in waste audit. And you'd be provided with the scale, which is a tiny little scale. It's real easy. You need a little hook to put it on, and buckets and some training. And you would track the waste that you generate in your household, and it would be separated by what's recyclable, what's food waste, what's cardboard, and you would be shocked when you get done, what you find that by doing that, what you can right there and then be able to recover or compost. So as you can see, we want to kind of get a cross section, families with children, 2-person households, single-person households. That's not dyed in the wall. I mean, but that would be our goal, to try to get a cross section. The next bullet is that we will be reaching out to anyone that we can in the community. Climate Smart has already been very welcoming and interested, because it really does dovetail into a lot of the work that they're trying to do. The Reformed Church of Hurley, we're meeting with Bill Appledard on, I forget, on the 4th. The Hurley Farm Hub, we're gonna see what they're about, because they might be a good location for people to be able to get the materials that they need, the odor control blend, that kind of stuff. I don't know, I haven't reached out yet, but I'm very interested in the Hurley Public Library. There are also some smaller grants that are available through the libraries for work with children that would support what we're all trying to do. And honestly, the local schools are going to be a big piece of both grant writing and getting the message out. The next step we're going to set up, once we determine where the location is, a model community compost in the Hurley community as quickly as possible. And by doing that, that's going to be where we really are able to hold our training for backyard composting. It will be a distribution point for the odor control blend and the rapid decomposition material. We're going to conduct workshops from that point for anyone who's interested, but particularly people who already have backyard composting who are looking to upgrade that. Training for people who want to have backyard composting, and for the 25 audit households. So a lot of the training will take place at that spot that is yet to be determined. We have a lot of research we're going to do, and we're going to design the upgrades for the transfer station. Those upgrades would first submit plans and upgrade strategy to the board first, and then to the New York State DEC, which would be, the DEC is 2 parts. One is the solid waste part, the materials management, to talk about food waste piece, and the other is the Superfund part, because we have to really always have in mind that we are working on a sensitive area. I wanted to point out the visitors that come to Greenway's Backyard Community Composter, and many of you here have already actually done that. Up on the top right was a meeting that the entourage of the county executive came, several of the Ulster County legislators, I don't know, 8, 10 was a lot. The Resource Recovery Agency came, the executive director, Mark Ryder, and he brought board member Regis, and I cannot remember his last name, but he was quite a character. They went through everything. They were hours. They even went out to the large site, and then they came to the house. It was Jen Metzger actually hugged me at the end. Very tall woman. Down to the bottom right is a group that came with Cornell Cooperative Extension high schools. And they were interested in all aspects of it. And even particularly, they get paid to do the work they do through the Cornell extension. And we have paid jobs. And we, the kids through Cornell make $14.40 an hour. And I said, well, if we bump it up to 15, will you come and work? So that was a interesting thing. They were great kids. And then the last photo on the lower left is the citizens concerned about plastic pollution. They're a group that's out of Saugerties who came down, and they they were kind of a joy too. I mean, all the groups we have, I have to say, are incredible people that we're meeting. So what we're saying here is the word is out. There's a remarkable backyard community composting system that has no odors, flies, or litter. There is a steady stream of visitors coming to see for themselves. In addition to the photos on this page, where that was only a 9-day period. And we have to actually tell people we can't do this every day. We've had visits from Rutgers University, SUNY New Paltz, Vassar College, Hudson River Housing, the town of Saugerties, the town of Hurley, town of Highlands, which is West Point, the interfaith community of Newburgh, and so many people just walking by, just stop. You know, that's a historic district, so they have a lot of visitors who come for that. And we welcome everyone. So that's my presentation. Is that good?
Surprises.
I think they're really like, you know, maybe they want to say something. No, I think if I leave these with you, Mike, or whoever should do, or, these are signups for any household, any people who want to get engaged in this. And you can sign up, yes, I want the home waste audit. Yes, I want to have information or talk to you about backyard compost, or I have questions. So, I don't know, I'll pass them to the town. Oh, thank you very much. So,
Did you send an electronic copy of that?
oh, in the contract, which most of you have all digested, there are 40 workshops. And that will accommodate what we hope will be the meetings that will get the community engaged. We got to get the ball rolling. So,
Could you send us an electronic copy?
yes, I definitely will. I'm also, and we talked about it on the way up, I'm going to put a banner link on our website that says Hurley Zero Waste, so people can hit it and get forms and get information, and then we'll have to talk about linking over stuff to your website.
We can put that application on our website if you
Excellent.
want.
I do.
Let me just talk to you before we leave today and we'll arrange for that.
Yeah, I do. I would love that.
Sure.
And just think, we have a West Hurley and a Hurley library, so these two separate libraries.
That's great. You know, that would be great, because there's just, and they're not huge grants, but there's money out there to do stuff, pollinator gardens, all the different things.
Right, they both have big community involvement, so it'd be great.
Yeah, I can look at the Hurley Library website and I can see like so much involvement. So, yes, really good.
I also believe this is we are the first municipality to go on, we're a pilot program, basically.
You are.
Yeah, I know. And the Ulster County legislator has endorsed this program and has donated or gives a grant of $10,000 to offset our costs.
Have you seen that? No, that sounded wrong.
I haven't seen it though.
Okay. I'm confused as to how they're gonna do that. And we've been like kind of pressing them. So if you see it, let us know. We'll kind of lighten up.
We've heard about the money, but we haven't gotten it
You're
yet.
like dangling it in front of us. I know. Show me the money. Very good.
And you said, the community composting, you're just gonna do one for all of Hurley? Is it possible to have, like at
Definitely.
each end?
Definitely. I think you'd almost have to,
Yes.
because the way Hurley is spread out. I think you'd have to, and then have something at the transfer station.
Yes.
And that's where we need to do our homework and get the agencies on board, you know, and present it to you guys. And perhaps in an offline workshop, whatever, that here's a plan to do that.
Very good. Good.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, now we're getting down to resolutions. All right. Most of these resolutions were introduced at the agenda meeting, so I'd like to just read the resolution and then pass it.
We'll break it up.
All right. All right, the first one is the highway digital.
Go ahead, sorry.
First one, the highway digital radios. If you want to read that?
I can do that one. This is the Nikon, right?
The Nikon. Nikon.
So this is the resolution to authorize the Hurley superintendent to enter into a lease with Nikon Wireless Communications. Whereas the town of Hurley Highway Department needs to replace their outdated and dysfunctional analog radio system with an upgraded digital radio system for purposes, as the current analog system does not provide service townwide, whereas the digital radio system does. And whereas the town received quotes from 2 vendors for Motorola digital radio systems, and whereas, pretty loud. And whereas only one vendor provides a direct line for Ulster County Emergency Services, along with the ability to directly communicate with several neighboring town highway departments. And whereas this will provide the highway crew with increased safety during construction season, road work, and winter plowing, along with emergency services. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of Hurley to authorize the highway superintendent to enter into 5-year lease program with Nikon Wireless Communications, 53 West Cedar Street, Poughkeepsie, New York, 12601, at the cost of $646 per month for 16 truck-mounted digital radios and 4 handheld digital radios per the attached quote.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah. So,
The 646, that's not per truck, like that's the total.
Total.
That's
per
total
month,
month.
per month, for all, yeah, for the 16 and the 4.
What's the budget line, Mike? for this?
Mike,
It's come out of the building line.
sorry?
It comes out of the building.
it's out of the building fund.
The highway fund?
Well, it's a building fund that we have here, that usually things like this comes out of. Like the ratings we had last
Road
time,
tanks came out of the building's line.
I can't-
Go to the road. Anything that's not, fixing and repairing roads, you came out of the building's line. Of general funds.
Can we just include the code for this, please?
If you want to change that, we'll have to put that into the budget.
It's not a change, it's just a clarification to make sure that we know what budget line, what it's coded to.
Correct.
That's one of the challenges we've had over the
So the
years.
last time that we did anything with radios was probably 25 years ago.
It has nothing to do with the radios. It has to do with where it's coded to.
It just has to do with the way the resolution. Voted anything for radios was 25 years ago.
Oh, well, there you go.
Buildings contractual.
this is building, it is, 1620.4 is the line.
Yeah, so with the amendment, I'd be happy with that, the resolution.
Okay,
There's a second?
Yeah.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. With amendment.
With amendment, thank you.
okay, just to let you know, on the A1620 buildings, number 4 line, which is contractual, is $140,000 have been allocated for that fund, for that line.
And what has been expended? You have that?
To be honest with you, that's quite difficult because of books right now are just incomplete. You know, so we don't know how much of that building's fund was taken out in 2023. It wasn't paid then, so we don't know yet. We are getting close.
Are you speaking on the statement about that later?
I will. Okay, so we all agree on this?
Yes.
Next one is a highway pressure washer replacement. Again, this was discussed at the last meeting. Sure.
Resolution for highway to accept lowest bid for hot water pressure washer. Whereas the highway department's 20-plus-year-old hot water pressure washer fire last year needs to be replaced. And whereas the highway superintendent sent out requests for quotes for a new unit. And whereas the highway superintendent received 2 quotes and 1 no response. Therefore, be resolved by the town board of Hurley to accept the lowest bid from A. Montano for $4,045 and authorizes the highway superintendent to complete the purchase with purchases paid from Highway Equipment Capital Fund 3H.
Second.
Any discussion?
Okay, all in favor?
Who's leading this ship? Who's-
I'm reading resolution.
I'm delegating.
All right.
Celebrated.
Okay, so you got that. Culvert pipe water. Okay, I will read the resolution. Okay. Whereas the town of Hurley has identified numerous drainage issues townwide, whereas the town of Hurley, town board set up and funded by townwide stormwater drainage fund 14H to fund these various drainage projects, and whereas the highway superintendent identified an inventory of needed culvert pipes and priced through OGS bid list for a total of $44,036.60, which list quote is attached to this resolution. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to authorize the town highway superintendent to place the order for said culvert pipe to be funded by the townwide stormwater fund 14H. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm not sure I understand this bill. What is?
Mike, you want to explain this? Come on.
Really helped a lot if you guys talked into the microphones. Remember, I got 50% hearing loss.
My question is, this format, I don't. No, I get that. Yeah, but
It's a handwritten quote.
Yeah,
It says computer crafts, and I needed it. So he wrote it out by hand. That's from Chunk Supply. And the other one came from, Pipe Plus, and they both were exactly the same on the plastic. Pipe Plus was much more expensive on the CMP and the arch pipe, the metal pipe.
who signed this?
Pat Williamson, he's the, that's a pretty cool copy there. That's
You
got
better
a
believe it.
3rd or 4th generation copy.
Is that clear, Gregory?
But,
He's the sales manager.
Pat Williamson,
Salesman.
sales manager. Pat Williamson, had it. And again, this is all off, the plastics off OGS, the CMP and the arch pipe was off the Orange County bid. Cause that's what most of us go off of. And then what I'm trying to do, Greg, is like the project that just happened down here. What I'm trying to do is work with the engineers and that the town purchase the pipes and catch basins to do those projects, but try to save some money on them.
We can buy the pipes cheaper than a contractor.
Yes.
Lot cheaper, so.
Yeah.
Because
We're trying to
because
get
of the
that.
state, because of bidding.
Some of this pipe will go to Orchard Street, which we're planning on getting done if it dries out more.
Okay.
Hey, Michael, is there a possibility you can come a little closer so you can hear one?
See right here.
This might, she should,
I'm good. I put a resolution in, I don't know, 2 years ago about getting a sound system that actually worked. It's not so much the buying, like, it's a comprehensive. And the microphones, the single source microphones that you have, and the old speaker style now.
Would you do me a favor, resubmit that again? That's okay with that?
I'll try to do the best I can, but that was why I asked for the closed captioning and had to get an attorney for it. Fought for it last year and got through in September and.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So be it. Next one, employee stipend, resolution for employee stipend for interim deputy highway superintendent. The resolution to grant yearly stipend to interim deputy highway superintendent. Whereas the deputy highway superintendent receives a yearly stipend, and whereas Michelle Bergen is the interim deputy highway superintendent, and whereas the yearly stipend has been established as $2,500, therefore be resolved by the town board, the town of Hurley, to grant a yearly stipend of $2,500 to interim deputy highway superintendent Michelle Bergen, one line from 85010.1 to be paid weekly by the amount of $48.08.
I mean, $48.
$48.08.
Thank you. Yes. No, he said 48,000.
48,000?
He said dollars?
Yes.
Mike, give me a 30.
Hey,
No, it's okay. It was a
We're
joke.
good. We don't need to.
It was a joke, Mike.
Yeah,
It was a joke. I said, let me a hearing aids. I didn't hear what he said.
What he said.
well, he doesn't use them anyway, so you can't. Stop ringing.
And I think Mike mentioned that this has already been approved, we're just changing the name.
Yes,
So,
yes.
The amount is unchanged from
The amount is
the
same.
organizational meeting.
right, it was in the, yes.
The name's changed.
General.
Protect the innocent.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So be it. Okay, Tim?
All right, so, here, can everybody hear me? All right, so Town of Hurley has an old library that was returned to the town, after the library moved over into what was the former Key Bank. And that building has sat sort of in a state of, not, it's just in a holding pattern. It needs some work. It's not a, I was actually surprised. I hadn't been in it probably for, I was in there doing like a service project with the Boy Scouts like over 20 years ago, moving books from the first floor to the second floor. And I was actually surprised that it's in better condition than I thought it was. It's not in any kind of great shakes of condition, but it is a part of the historic district. We got that. So we put together at the last meeting what we called a high functioning group, which was an engineer. We had Frank Dunn, we had Scott Davis from Peak Engineering, we had Paul Conamos from our building department, who is here right now, and we had Mike Bombs, myself, and Mike, remind me the name of the librarian. Tracy from the library. Tracy Priest from the library. And we met and we looked at the building, and kind of the vision that the group came up with was to use the first floor as community space. So the vision is like you would walk in and there would be sort of a very small foyer there with an ADA bathroom to the left, so that like when there's certain events like on Main Street in Hurley, we could unlock that front door and just say to the public, hey, like there's maybe people don't want you using their bathroom in their homes on Main Street when they're doing tours, but you can go over to the library or the old library, and that would be there. So it would be sort of a welcome center. And then we'd have, basically like a conference room to the rear of that, and open up the back of it with a sort of a, put more glass in the back so that it lets more light into that space. And then the idea was to put a porch roof off of the back, so there's also some outdoor community space. Because the library is interested in using the space if we have it available. They have some community groups that use the library as their meeting place, like a garden club and various, small group, book clubs and garden clubs. And right now they meet in that back room at the library, which is also, has shelves of books on the walls for the public. So like people are having a meeting and someone, wants the latest and greatest in fiction and goes back there, and, during a meeting, it could be a little disruptive. So a non-active library space, and then take upstairs and turn that, it would just be basically a private office for the town's historian.
So we would move all of the, right now, stuff that's stored in the back here over to the second story of that space. And that would not, so then we wouldn't be required to put an elevator in because it's a private office. So that would get us around that ADA compliance on that, because the building would have to be brought up on the first floor to ADA standards, which would include a ramp and thus it's, and those kind of things. The other idea was to make some changes to the amount of blacktop that was in the front, so that it was more back to like the historical look that it would have had, and move some of the parking into the rear while still preserving. There's quite a bit of lawn back there. And the library is also interested in like, various, sitting in a circle and reading children's books to children and those kind of nice things, at that spot. So doing that and basically just kind of refreshing that building. So, and there is potentially, we've identified some money that's going to be available potentially for doing this work. So that's why we're extremely interested, because realistically, like the condition that the library is currently in isn't a way to like leave it. Okay. Like it either needs to be sold, right? Or it needs to be refurbished as community space. And it from a lot of the people I've talked to, quite a number of people, and they really kind of feel strongly about the town hanging on to it. So, we'd like to basically the next step in this would be to have a feasibility study done on the site, which would include asbestos, lead paint, a full site plan, construction notes, and, laying out, where the septic is, that bathroom, full set of plans, basically. And we got a great referral on an architect and, Paul Jankovic. So, and we do have the proposal here, stair layout, framing plan, HVAC, lots of different site lighting, septic system, like I said, building shell, toilet room, foundation details, ADA ramp, electrical schematics. Like everything you'd need basically to bid the construction project at that point, would be produced, and the sum total for that would be $18,300. And this is a professional services agreement, so it's not subject to competitive bidding, and it is also below the $20,000 threshold for bidding. So, and Mike, what budget line have we identified for this?
A 1620.4 buildings.
A 1620.4. Yeah, that's the same line. All right.
One last thing about this library. I was just talking to Matt Jankowski, who lives right by the library in a sense, and he says that hasn't been used in well over 10 years, 11 years. And we have to do something. And I think what Tim is proposing, having a walk-in center there with historian time, I think is a wonderful thing. One of the things I've seen from our historian, Jim Decker, these fabulous photographs from like the early 1900s that are, for me, it mesmerizes me seeing these things and what's going on. And not only that, though, there were a lot of land deeds that are dated back in the 1800s. They can be displayed all through that building there. This is the history of Hurley.
So in that community kind of conference space, having up on the walls, all of these different, having Jim curate basically the collection in that room. And then also when he has office hours, that space would be available to him. Then he could, bring stuff down. People have questions on certain things or whatever, that he could bring stuff downstairs for people to look at in that space where, here we've got a lot of different uses all going on around this spot. So this isn't always quite the most conducive place to have a meeting. There'd be sort of a community / historical instead of government function, government function building.
You know the history of those buildings, right?
Well, they were both that building and the one up in West Hurley, right?
Both identical.
Were both identical. That was the town hall.
The town board met upstairs, and the judges had court upstairs and the library downstairs. And the judges liked it because when you came up the stairs, I knew you were coming. Nice and squeaky.
We would be replacing those stairs.
I can't hear you back
So therefore, okay, resolution to perform feasibility study on remodeling old library. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to hire Paul Jankovic for the amount of $18,300 to perform a feasibility study on remodeling the old library to be repurposed as a community gathering space and historian's office.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just line.
All right, to be amended, this is to be funded out of line A 1620.4, buildings contractual.
Our historians were excited about this, right?
Yeah, Jim Deck was extremely excited. He was part of that meeting as well.
You know, what was interesting, after the meeting was over, I got an email from Frank Dunn and from others saying, finally, something being done. I think that's a great thing. And, the meeting was like, as Tim mentioned, it was a high-powered meeting. You know, we had professionals, dealing with this thing. So I think that was a great idea. I think, we're gonna utilize it.
Yeah, so let's get this rolling and then we can, this will come back and then we'll move on to, we would bid it. And also have the discussion with, about the funding of it, so. I'd like to vote tonight if possible, yeah. All right, all those in favor? Any opposed? Perfect.
Seconded.
Diana Klein.
Okay, the next resolution here is the transportation minimum point of sale credit card transaction. Tracy, can you want to deal with that a little bit?
I can,
Or Tim?
I'll talk about it.
All right.
So we are still looking into, implementing a more modern, compliant point of sale system up at the transfer station. But in the meantime, the town is absolutely being slaughtered with credit card fees on the small dollar transactions at the transfer station. So basically what we're asking is that people buy the punch cards and then use them, for their weekly guard. Like if you're bringing 60 cents worth of garbage into the transfer station, you buy a $10 card and then you use that up before. That way we're not asking basically other taxpayers who aren't using the transfer station to fund the credit card fees for those that are using the transfer station, which is actually something that's in the, state comptroller. We're not allowed to do. So, here we go. Resolution to establish a minimum credit card transaction for the transfer station. Whereas the town incurs a cost on each credit and debit card transaction at the transfer station, often resulting in a loss for the town. And whereas the town offers a punch card option in denominations of $10, $20, and $100. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of Hurley to create a credit card minimum of $10, requiring that a punch card be purchased for credit card transaction of less than the minimum amount beginning June 1st, 2024. Do I have a second? Gregory Simpson, second.
Can I propose an amendment?
Yeah.
We also did not want to be collecting checks in the amount of 60 cents. So the objective here was not just credit cards, it was the minimum purchase is a $10. If people are coming and they have $11 worth of rubbish, then they only have to pay
Just pay the
$11.
$11.
They don't have to, but we shouldn't be getting 60 cent checks either. So I would ask that you amend this to,
Amended to, yeah.
we are selling either $10 coupon cards or for anything above a $10 coupon card, we may pay.
So what I would suggest is requiring that we'll strike this so that it says requiring that a punch card be purchased for transactions instead of just specifying credit cards.
Right.
So all transactions that are lower than $10 require you spend $10. The minimum purchase at the transfer station is $10, but you're receiving the stored value in the punch card, like for the remainder. So then you put your 60 cents of garbage on the scale, put it in the thing, they mark it off. Now you're down to $9.40 on the card.
So we eliminate the credit card, a credit card.
No, right. We're eliminating the word credit card at the final line so that it's just all transactions be purchased for transactions of less than.
Yeah.
So that it includes checks. Less is more.
Okay.
That's just in that final sentence. Just scratch out credit.
Okay, all in favor?
As amended,
All in favor, hold on, all in favor of the amendment?
aye.
Aye. All right, any opposed to the amendment?
Someone should make a motion. Approve it as amended, then second that motion.
Motion to approve as amended.
I'll say.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, next one is the cannabis local law. Now, what I understand, I just started talking to Maggie, this is just, Maggie, this is just to, present this to the Ulster County Planning Board.
And the local planning board and zoning board. So to start getting some feedback, that's all this is. And Ulster County Planning Board's deadline, Ulster County Planning Board meets the first Wednesday of every month, and their deadline is 10 days prior. So because you guys meet on the fourth Wednesday, or fourth Tuesday, you will often miss it. So this will give a chance as you're taking in some edits and getting some feedback from your local planning board and your local zoning board, which is also required, that Ulster County Planning Board can start reviewing it too, because as you won't make their June meetings, so they won't see it until July. So, and you can't set a public hearing or really do seeker, you can't move very far in the process until they give you feedback. So this was just to get it started, because there have been 2 people who have stated they might possibly want to open a cannabis retail shop. And right now, if they went and requested that, it would be a use variance. And the town opted in, they just never, right at the end of John Kerry's term, December 2021, the town opted in. But regulations just never got written to support that. So that's what this is, beginning that process. So this is
Process of
just,
regulation, right?
yes, so there is a local law in your packet.
Yeah, we have a local law here.
Right, and in the AF, which, begins to let you look at seeker, and it's a type 1 action because it's the entire town. And again, this is the first draft. The ZTF did work. This was a product of the ZTF zoning task force last year, and it just never moved anywhere. So this is having to put the zoning task force and Bonnie Clancy, the planner. And she is re-reviewing this version. So she may have some further edits, but at least this will get the review process started.
So this first one here is the review process to start.
Yes.
All right, that's the,
And then there's the law,
and there's a law.
which this is just a regulation to circulate the law.
Sure.
Right.
We can't adopt the law because we have
Not
a
yet.
hearing and all the
Right.
steps.
And, it may change dramatically between now and public hearings or whatever, but at least you start to get some feedback to move it along.
Okay. All right, resolution to circulate and classify local law, we have, don't have it yet, of the 2024 cannabis. Whereas New York State on March 21st, 2021 legalized adult use of cannabis, marijuana, also known as marijuana or recreational marijuana, by passing the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, MRTA. And whereas Section 131 of the MRTA gave municipalities the ability to opt in or opt out of the allowing the licensure and establishment of a retail dispensary license and or on-site consumption license under the provisions of Article 4 of this chapter, requesting the Cannabis Control Board to prohibit the establishment of such retail dispensary licenses and or the on-site consumption license contained in Article 4 of this chapter within the jurisdiction of a town, city, or village. And whereas under the MRTA, all county, town, city, and village governing bodies were preempted from adopting any law, rule, ordinance, regulation, or prohibition pertaining to the operation or licensure of registered organizations, adult use cannabis licenses, or cannabinoid hemp licenses. However, towns, cities, and villages could pass local laws and regulations governing the time, place, and manner of the operation of licensed adult use cannabis retail dispensaries and or on-site consumption site, provided such law or regulation does not make the operation of such licensed retail dispensaries or on-site consumption sites unreasonably impractical and determined by the board. And whereas any local law adopted pursuant to the following terms shall have the following meanings. Person shall have the meaning provided for in subdivision 40A of section 3 of this chapter. Unlicensed activity shall refer only to unlawfully selling cannabis product, or any product marketed or labeled as such without obtaining the appropriate registration, license, or permit. Therefore, or engaging in the indirect retail sale. Indirect retail sale shall have the meaning provided for in subdivision 46A of section 3 of the MRTA law, except that it shall not include cannabinoid hemp or hemp extract product. Place of business shall not include a residence or real property not otherwise held out as open to the public or otherwise being utilized in a business or commercial manner, or any vehicle associated with the business unless a less probable cause exists to believe that such residence, real property, or vehicle is being used in such business or commercial manner for the unlicensed activity. And whereas the Town of Hurley Town Board at regular meeting held on December 27, 2021, the Town Board of the Town of Hurley opted in to allow retail sales and on-site consumption of marijuana. And whereas the Town Board referred the matter to the zoning task force created a draft local law, and therefore be resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Hurley, annexed to this resolution is the following. A draft local law. B, part 1 of a long environmental assessment form. C, mapping of the individual potentially possible zones where a retail shop with or without consumption could be placed, and the recommendation of the zoning task force whether the use should be allowed and why or why not. And 1, classify the action of adopting local law 2024 entitled a local law amending the Town of Hurley Code to permit adult use retail sale of cannabis as a type 1 action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker. 2, refer the draft local law to the Ulster County Planning Board as required under General Municipal Law 239/-NN. Refer to the local 3, refer to the draft local law to the Town of Hurley Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals for comment. The motion being made and seconded and discussion being held. Insert here.
Whatever the
Insert here.
discussion is.
All right. The motion was brought to a vote, which was as follows. The town clerk is hereby directed to facilitate.
Is there a number for the proposed local law?
I don't know. I didn't know. I don't think we've done any local laws this year, so I think it's number 1, right?
This would be number 1.
Number 1.
This would be number 1, yes.
Yeah, I thought so, but I didn't want to fill it in without being sure.
Okay. Is there a second? Seconded by Debbie. Is there any discussion?
So I'm still quite, I understand what the intent of this is, so, but I think this is really difficult wording to follow what's going on. What are you asking us? Maybe this is a map.
Yeah. So there's, first is basically that you're determining that it is a type 1 action under seeker, so it has to have further environmental review. It is a change in our zoning use that affects more than 25 acres or a larger amount of land, because it does affect the whole town. So it is a type 1 action under seeker. So you're basically making that determination, and then you're referring it to the Ulster County Planning Board so that they can review and provide feedback on the proposed law, as well as referring it to our local zoning board of appeals and planning board.
Just normally refer to as ZBA. And that was.
I can say that again?
I'm not normally understood, but is it in our local code, anything for referral to the ZBA?
Yes, it says for both.
Okay, yeah, generally it doesn't, but if our local code does, but either way, they provide their feedback, and then it gives, additional amendments, other things. Hearings would potentially be scheduled before you actually do anything to pass either this as written or make any changes based on the feedback that you get from not only these different boards, but also from the public in general.
It's just those 3 things.
It's just to get involved. It's
It's just really cumbersomely worded. I just wonder if this could be simplified, but I get the intent. I'm happy to vote for it.
Further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye, opposed? So be it, so fortune.
I got it.
I need to read it into the minutes.
Supposed to do that now?
No. Okay, next one. Authorize supervisor sign, I'm sorry, submit funding application for emerging contaminant investigation. Okay, again, this is dealing with a grant that is a 1.325 million grant that we are applying for, with the DEC, the EFC. And, so we have done the first phase. We are now at the point where we are submitting our grant application to, the DEC, EFC program to get this going. So this is we talked about this last, time. This is a resolution to authorize the town supervisor to submit an application for funding from the New York State Clean Water State Revolving Fund, CWSRF, Bipartisan Infrastructure, EIL, Emerging Contaminants Program for the Emerging Contaminant Investigation at the Hurley Landfill, Hurley Town Landfill. Whereas the town of Hurley is currently working with the New York State DEC to complete a remedial investigation and feasibility study of the town's landfill to address emerging contaminants, and whereas the Environmental Facilities Corporation, EFC, has determined that the town may qualify for 100% grant funding for the study under the CWSRF BIL Emerging Contaminant Program up to an amount of $1,324,000, and whereas the EFC requires the town to submit an application to secure the funding, and whereas the town wishes to complete work necessary to remediate emerging contaminants at the town landfill, as long as contingent upon state and or federal funding being available to do so, and whereas the town has determined that conducting a remedial investigation feasibility study, if it is provided with state or federal funding, is considered a type 2 action under SEQR. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley that the town supervisor is authorized to prepare and submit all application material as required by the EFC to endeavor to secure funding to address remediating emerging contaminants at the town landfill. Is there a second? Okay, seconded by Greg Simpson. Discussion. Key thing here is that in a ruling that came down by a federal judge in South Carolina stating that municipalities who have contaminants in their landfill who don't have the funding for it are not required to remediate it. Coming through it. The EPA has adopted that statute also. The DEC has not yet established that, but most likely they usually follow the EPA. So what this is doing here is that we are applying for a $1.324 million grant to do a study on how to remediate. And so my feeling is, talking to our town lawyers and talking to Crawford, that they will not give us that funding if they were not going to give us the supporting funding for remediation. So if we get approved for this thing, in all likelihood, we will get the funding to clean up the town landfill, where it won't cost the town anything going through. They will do the entire funding for it.
Right, the basis of this is the town didn't make the items that were dumped and deposited in the landfill, and the town, in theory, followed all regulations that were in place at the time, and the 1950s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, as things were being deposited in there, and town capped it, and in response with the DEC's guidance, and and since then we've gone through a period of monitoring and pumping and all those sorts of things, and there's been contaminants discovered, and at this point, so we're not choosing, by doing this, we're not choosing the path of doing nothing because we don't have to do anything because we don't have the funding. We're choosing to try to get the funding to do something,
Right.
to try to protect the watershed you know, the butters and those sorts of things.
Correct, Mike? That's correct. The thing is, though, there are two municipalities, the one up in, well, the Stories, for example, which is also, having issues with their landfill. Same thing with PFAS and PFOAs, and also 1,4-dioxane. However, that contamination at the landfill was done by commercial, enterprise. So the, remediation there is that town will take half the, funding for it, and the commercial corporation will pay the other half, money going to it. All right, we did nothing illegal in the town of Hurley. Most of the PFAS and PFOAs comes from styrofoam cups. And styrofoam happens to be the second largest pollutant, contaminant in the landfill. So we did nothing wrong in that aspect of it, and therefore, and one of the things also that's interesting that the DEC sent us a bill for $79,000 for their part of studying the landfill and doing tests on and so forth. This grant covers that $79,000 also. So we're off the hook.
I mean, up until 10 years ago, roughly, this wasn't even known to be a contaminant or a problem. You know, like the dark water litigation in Ohio, you know, was only 15 or 20, like, so it's really been percolating through like what level of contamination from these products, you know, is really, really exists and what the human health hazard is.
Okay. All right, any further discussion?
No, just to say that, I mean, the EPA said finally has set limits on PFAS.
10 parts per trillion.
It's down to 4 now, I think.
Now it's down to 4, yeah, but that was set last month or month before. So this is all new, so somebody else has to take responsibility by helping with the cleanup. Towns can't be held responsible for something that don't know anything about. So.
Yes. Okay,
Largely created to do.
all right. All in favor? Opposed? This is in conjunction with this resolution that we just had. This is the hiring of a company to do the feasibility study, more or less. Resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with ACON to complete the RIFS at the town landfill. Whereas the town of Hurley is currently working with the New York State DEC to complete a remedial investigation feasibility study at the town landfill to address emerging contaminants and is in discussion with the New York State DEC on possible terms for such RIFS, but has not yet committed to undertaking such work. And whereas the Environmental Facilities Corporation has determined that the town may qualify for 100% grant funding for the study under the CWSRF BIL Emerging Contaminant Program up to the amount of $1,324,000, which funding the town is seeking before agreeing to and finalizing a commitment to undertake the RIFS. And whereas the project requires the hiring of a qualified engineering firm to complete the remedial investigation feasibility study, and whereas the town undertook a procurement process which included publicizing a request for qualifications, reviewing statements of qualifications that were submitted, and interviewing 4 firms that were deemed most qualified and advantageous for the project. And whereas the town has determined that ACON, with offices in Latham, New York, is the most qualified and advantageous for the project. And whereas the town wishes to enter into a contract with ACON for the EFC funded work to be completed under an agreement with New York State DEC, therefore be resolved by the town board. That's all.
That's more.
Thank you. I lost my place. Whereas the town wishes to enter into contract with ACON for the EFC funded work to be completed under an agreement with New York State DEC, therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley that the town supervisor be authorized to sign a contract with ACON to complete the RIFS at the town landfill. Is there a second? Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, where's the contract?
And what is the cost?
Well, we're getting the contract. This is just to go and get the agreement with them. They have been submitted the contract to us.
Wait. So let's table this.
Here's the thing, we can't table it. Because if we table this, we have to have this done by June 14th, sent up to EFC to qualify for the grant. This is just allowing us to hire ACON, but we are not paying ACON. This comes from the grant.
So
the
our
grant,
cost incurred will be zero if we don't get the grant.
we don't, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Doesn't say.
Well, maybe we need to put that as a,
All right, then we have to add to it then. But, see, this
that we're not going to be paying for this. We need to, you can't, without, I mean,
There's no
I would.
contract.
Yeah, I would never sign a resolution.
all right, so let's amend it then.
Yeah.
And that,
Just to, please go out, to sign a contract with ACOM to complete the RIFs at the town landfill on the condition that all funding under the contract will come from the grant.
Under the condition, yes.
okay,
If subtract 79,000
from that,
DEC.
yes.
That already.
No, we haven't paid anything yet. Under the condition that the funding will be granted.
Yeah, the funding,
The funding comes from the grant,
and the funding for the contract.
comes from the grant.
Now, we have to get this in by, the 14th of June. That is the deadline for the ESC contract.
Like there's something regardless of what they pass.
Okay,
There's a new contract. They can get funds. They should-
okay. All right, so we will get the contract and have it sent to you. And then you approve it. Okay. All right. Any further discussion? All right, it's on the amendment. All right, is there a second on the amendment?
I second the amendment.
All right, any discussion on the amendment? All right, all in favor of the amended? Well, all in favor of the amended contract, I'm sorry, the amended resolution.
All right.
All right, opposed? Okay. Solar panels. Okay, we discussed this at the agenda meeting. Basically, we have solar panels outside. We lost our monitoring service. In other words, we don't have any way of knowing if they're being produced there more or less. It is being produced because our bill for Central Hudson for this building is very negligible. We only pay for the net metering, more or less, the meter, more or less, nothing other than that. So it is working. We just don't know how much is being generated. So Castleman is a company that put in the solar panels, will then come in and they will fix the monitoring. So resolution to authorize the supervisor to sign a service and maintenance contract with Castleman Solar.
Second.
You didn't read it yet.
Jump the gun there. Therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to authorize the supervisor to sign a service and maintenance contract with Castleman Solar for a total of $650.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
I think at the meeting, I asked if we knew if it was still under warranty.
It wasn't.
It wasn't, okay.
Yeah, it's over 10 years old, I think, right? Yeah.
Okay.
But it's still working.
This is basically, they're gonna maintain.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna come in.
No, that's not clear.
There's a setup where you can. Catch it.
Yeah.
They're just fixing the meter, they're just fixing
They're
that
gonna meter it.
specific problem, this is not me.
This is not maintenance, this is metering.
They're just fixing this.
They're just fixing the one problem.
Cover schemes and thoughts of towns.
Okay. All right, end the discussion?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? Opposed? So be it.
Contract.
Does he have an extra, I could have all the resolutions up there.
I have.
I'm missing about half of the resolutions. for what is it?
It's printed on both sides.
No, I know.
No.
But I'm done. I have nothing.
Okay. Okay, the next resolution is to allocate remaining American Rescue Plan Fund Act, ARPA funds. Whereas it's been determined that the remaining ARPA balance available to the town is $155,480.60. Therefore, it be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to allocate the remaining fund to the town's EMS funding. I think this was gonna be created under a new, line item
Yes,
account, right?
yes, we're gonna put this into a different account.
So this is gonna go in its own new account. So, well,
I'll
then
second.
that, thank you. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm very much for funding EMS, just want to make sure we don't foresee anything else that we need to use this for before we're just dumping the total amount into EMS, because it's sort of a speak now or forever, like, the park funding, we have that somewhere else in the budget that was going on up at there's nothing else we want to use this for before we do this.
So far, this is the most important thing right now, I have to put it that way. We could use money for a lot of things, obviously, but this is like, you know, my opinion and other people's opinion, has to be done. And the thing is, that, the 160, 155,000 here, so forth. I mean, we don't have, no pressing need at this point, other than doing this.
Right, and we don't have a feasibility on the EMS or anything.
Oh, that's very question.
That's
That's what we're doing.
the first initial is to get an attorney on retainer. I actually spoke with him today. He's gonna send me the retainer agreement.
Okay.
And then he's gonna put together the map and the plan on how we move towards an ambulance district.
But that's not gonna cost $155,000.
No, but the retainer won't and the plan won't, but the amount of money needed then to actually get the ambulance district up and running. We consulted with other districts around us and they needed in the range of $300,000 to $400,000 to get started. So
So just out of curiosity, how are we gonna fund this going forward?
We have a few ideas, and one of them could be, tax district. For doing this kind of thing. At this point right now, what's happening is that we rely on Marbletown, Woodstock, and Olive, and Kingston. No, I know that.
me too, yeah.
I know that's what the problem is. I understand that, but I mean, there are two things here. One, we're gonna shift the balance of the ARPA money into one account to deal with something, one project, EMS. I don't have a problem with that. But this is finance. When this is done, we have to figure out how we're gonna pay for it going forward. So, I mean, it would be,
That'll be part of the plan. That'll be part of
The feasibility study.
feasibility study.
I would do the same.
When does your ARPA money have to be allocated?
2025.
No,
I get here.
When you use it by the end of 2025.
right. So you don't have to allocate it and adopt this.
I would say that it's probably advisable that we table this and then we allocate the ARPA money as needed for this instead of as a bulk action.
yeah,
Would be.
All right.
I'm not
just a
sure.
more prudent way to do this.
yeah, I'm not sure I understand why it is that you'd want to shift all this money. I'm not negating the value of this project.
Because we wanna, like, when we create a special tax district for EMS, right? We don't really wanna fund it with like a single shot of money, because like then, you know, there's
Well, we
gonna be.
couldn't.
Well, right, we couldn't, because it's gonna run out and because.
No, but we could use ARPA money to do that.
Right.
Anyway, we have to fund it some other way. And it has, how we're gonna fund it. It's gonna come either, if you set up a tax district, then somebody's gonna have to pay for that. Who is that?
Taxpayers,
The
right?
taxpayers. Okay, so not a problem, but at least let's figure this
All right,
out.
all right.
I understand what I'm saying.
I like the idea of having the money there and then allocating part of it as needed for the EMS service for us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know how much they're gonna get back to you with all the bills, all the receipts. They're gonna give you.
But
a proposal.
I have to have some funding to get started. Like I have to have funding
Right.
to get it on retainer. I have to have funding to do the mapping. I
Okay.
just spoke with him today.
Okay, so
I don't
let's,
have a number yet.
could we just
But I'll have a
allocate
number
as a
tomorrow.
Yeah, so when we have the June agenda meeting, we'll bring that to the meeting for the amount, just like what we did with the library. And then for the fund the feasibility study, and then we'll
That's fine.
vote on it at the, and we'll, but like the one time, I believe that we should fund, I believe that we should fund the one-time costs
That's
It's
fine.
fine out of ARPA, but not the recurring annual,
We'll table it.
shouldn't come out of ARPA.
So here's the thing. What I'd like to see being done, that we, when Deb talks to the lawyer, he gets paid from the ARPA funds.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I don't have a
Right, no,
problem.
the idea is we have to talk to him soon, and we can't talk to him unless we get funding to pay for him. So
We have funding, we have. funding.
all right, so we can allocate from here.
Yeah, right, so
It's gonna give you a retainer agreement, and then we're gonna adopt it, and we'll fund it.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so we'll hold this.
Thank you.
Couldn't you bill when you pick up a patient on a call, couldn't you bill?
And that would be part of it. It's called soft billing.
Yeah.
So we would bill the insurance or Medicare.
Right, I'll
It
address
does,
that.
you're right, it does not cover all of the costs. That's why their cost is around 360,000 a year out of their tax district. That just pays for the portion that the insurance company
right.
does not fund.
Right, right.
Correct.
That's what that is.
Yes.
Yeah, there's another proposal. What we can, let's amend the amount that you're requesting so that you can get going. So about 25,000. At least that will give you something to work
To
with,
get
to get started, which is
Okay.
what
That way
you
you're
have.
sure you have money for the.
Yeah, so you have no worries.
Okay,
about that.
I like that very
Okay,
much. Thank
Okay,
you.
all right.
I'll second that.
So what are we doing?
We're amending the
We're gonna amend it
resolution to say,
25,000 that I can
yeah,
get started
that
with.
we're
the
gonna
retainer.
withdraw 25,000 from the ARP balance.
And that'll go into a special EMS account.
Right.
And that's to be used for one-time expenses,
Yes,
Right.
correct.
like for the startup, not for the recurring. annual.
No, this is to analyze.
Right.
So in other words, yes, okay. All right.
To analyze the feasibility study.
Yes.
But, you know, and then when we have the proposals, you'll come back to the board with the
Correct.
amounts, right?
Yeah, the retainer agreement, the amount. Yep,
So
yeah, that's fine.
it's done piecemeal now.
That's fine. That's, as long as we get started, that's the
Yes.
main thing. It's gonna take a while and if we can't get
Yeah.
started.
I mean, realistically, we do everything piecemeal.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
That's a good action.
Okay, so-
That's a good idea.
So that
So we'll,
Debbie and Tim, Debbie or Tim.
it was Diana.
Well, no, but
Gregory amended and I seconded it.
so you're voting on the amendment.
Correct. Right, so,
The amendment is to allocate to, there's been
Okay, 25,000.
25,000.
For one time.
For a feasibility
for
study.
each of us, yeah.
Favor?
I,
I,
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So be it.
And thank you. Resolution to adopt safety committee members. Whereas the town has approved the startup of a safety committee with councilperson Debbie Doherty and deputy supervisor John Perry as town liaisons. And whereas the town board has to appoint volunteer residents as members to create said committee. Whereas the town has advertised for such on the town website and during town board meetings requesting volunteers. Whereas the following residents have applied: Betsy Blair, Harry McNamara, Julian Shapiro, Vince Napoli, and Wendy Trojak. Therefore, it be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to approve the appointment of Betsy Blair, Harry McNamara, Julian Shapiro, Vince Napoli, and Wendy Trojak. I'll second. Any discussion?
Wait, look at you.
Great.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm gonna give an update on it at all business.
could you just clarify why it is that when they chose that?
Why she is? She volunteered, she's a resident,
And an employee.
and she's an employee as well, but they're not gonna make any decisions. So
It's not
there's
like-
no voting.
Good.
Yes.
Good point.
Yes.
You need to say that. So.
All right.
yeah, this is not a decision-making committee.
It's not a
No,
decision.
no.
They make recommendations.
This is an advisory committee.
Is it an employee of the town may not serve on town board planning or something.
Correct. So maybe you need to
At
amend
the
this to say
at the very beginning to say to approve the startup for safety committee,
safety advisory. committee.
say safety advisory.
Yes.
That's what I'm amending. So the very first will be, whereas the town board has approved the startup of the safety advisory committee.
SAC.
SAC.
We love a
And
good
that
acronym.
Is there a second on the amendment?
Yeah, second it.
All right, all in favor of the amended resolution?
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed?
We're moving on.
Okay, so now it's the resolution to appoint members to the recreation board. Whereas the town has approved the startup of the recreation board with appointing John Perry as recreation director and councilperson Diana Klein as town liaison. And whereas the town board has to appoint an additional volunteer resident as member to create said board, and whereas the volunteer residents that have requested to be on the recreation board are as follows. And whereas the term of the office will be offset by 1 year per member, therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to approve the appointment of Julian Shapiro to a term of 1 year ending December 31st, 2025, and set the years of the town of Hurley Recreation Board as follows. Julian Shapiro, 2025, Thomasina Citron, 2026, Andrew Constant, 2027, Jim Quigley Jr., 2028, Patrick Zell, 2029, Andrew Zell, 2030.
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Again, a great group of people.
Yes, it is.
And again, it's an advisory board.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Then the recreation board also wanted to do something for the children's summer program. So this is just a starting this year on a very small scale. It's a pilot program with the Hurley Recreation Committee. So it's the resolution to establish a pilot program with Hurley Recreation. Whereas the town of Hurley Recreation Director John Perry and Hurley Recreation at the request of Supervisor Bonds met to discuss a pilot program to provide a full scholarship program for 5 town of Hurley youth residents to attend full-day summer camp. And whereas Hurley Recreation offers a full-day 9 to 5 Monday through Friday operation starting June 25th to August 30th, 2024. And whereas the Hurley Recreation Board has agreed to only charge the town of Hurley for these services at the membership price of $1,800 per youth, totaling $9,000, a non-member fee $2,700 per year. And whereas the town has been awarded $80,000 from Ulster County in grants to spend on recreation park expenditures, allowing this pilot to be fully reimbursed back the $9,000 town capital fund 28. And whereas the 2024 pilot will be open to all Hurley residents of low income status, primarily of single family households. The income status to qualify is 30% of the town's median income of $96,682, which is $29,000 or less, as per the most updated data from citydata.com based on the year ending of 2022. And whereas the town will then assess the 2024 pilot and look to expand this for future years to be funded through grants and reserve funds, as well as a partnership with other local summer camps. Therefore, be it resolved by the town board of Hurley to approve the pilot program with Hurley Recreation at a cost of up to $9,000 from Capital Fund 20H that will be reimbursed in full from grant awarded from Ulster County.
Before you continue, just the organization's name is the Hurley Recreation Association, Inc.
Okay.
So in the first paragraph, I just changed that to add Association Inc. The second paragraph, the same. On the third, you have board. So I'll cross that out and have it changed. And then in the back, so it is a private organization that is a not-for-profit, not affiliated with the town. So just to make that clear, because it was a little unclear with referring
And the last one as well.
yes, that's correct as well, but therefore be it resolved, 4 total.
Thank you.
You've already been told we're getting this grant from Ulster County.
So they told us.
Yes, the 80,000.
Told us that, yes.
And nobody, I need a second.
I'll second.
I remember back in the day, we used to do the summer program 2 mornings a week for 6 weeks. And toward the end, there was so few children, that's why it got disbanded. Because people, they work all day, they need their kids to be somewhere from 9 to 5, so very excited to see this go through and to expand on it in future years would be great.
So it'll be at 30% of AMI, which is 25.5.
Yeah, 29, 30% of the 96,682 to 29,000 or less.
Okay.
That was from current 2000. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
Town is looking for scholarship applicants.
Yes.
We are.
All right. Jeremy, you put that down? Talk to him there. All right, yeah, Diana.
Email me what you want posted, we'll take care of that.
Okay.
Okay, this one is the NRI, and I guess it's Greg. Greg, you want to explain this?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, Greg.
Yeah.
Greg Simpson, want to explain that?
No.
The other Greg.
All right, Greg Mitchell, Conservation Advisory Committee. So the NRI, the Natural Resources Inventory, is a project that the town received a grant for earlier this year. This project is really to pull together all of the data sets, information, mapping, and so forth. It's going to be really critical for doing land use, zoning, and as part of the comprehensive plan update that we are undertaking. So the RFP is very specifically for one data set having to do with habitat and wildlife. We need an actual biologist to lead that. So they have an expertise, they have ecological models and so forth that they will bring to bear on the town of Hurley and will produce those data sets. The way the RFP is structured is composed of mandatory aspects or tasks and then optional tasks. At a high level, the mandatory aspects are really the data sets that we need in order to generate maps. The optional part is where we actually do field work with volunteers from Hurley to go out and identify species and do that kind of work under the guidance of a biologist. So that's the RFP.
Okay, cool. All right, resolution to authorize the issuance of the RFP to provide the habitat and wildlife data and map layers essential to complete an NRI. Whereas the National Resource Inventory contains information about town's natural resources, groundwater, streams, mineral resources, wetlands, farmland, habitats, plants, and wildlife that can inform land use planning and decision-making and serve as an education tool. And whereas the town of Hurley was awarded grant funding through the Hudson River Estuary Program for local stewardship planning for the purpose of facilitating the completion of a townwide natural resource inventory, NRI, and whereas an NRI is a natural next step and a much-needed project that followed on from the Town of Hurley Open Space Plan adopted by the Hurley Town Board in July of 2018. And whereas the Town of Hurley is currently developing an update to the 2006 Comprehensive Master Plan, and the current draft specifically calls for the commissioning of a townwide biodiversity study and the identification of critical environmental areas, and an NRI will provide essential data to support these efforts. And whereas the Hurley Conservation Advisory Council specified the need to engage the services of a qualified consultant company or collaboration of companies to compile data sets, produce a written report describing the habitat and wildlife that currently exists in the town as an essential to complete the NRI. And whereas proposals from the consultants must be solicited and contract awarded in accordance with section 120-W of the general municipal law and the town procurement policy in response to a request for proposal issued by the town. Therefore, be resolved by the Town Board of Hurley authorizing the issuance of an RFP to solicit bids from qualified consultants for professional services to provide the habitat and wildlife data and map layers essential to the completion of an NRI.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just could you remind me what the grant was, the total grant was?
30,000.
$38,000.
Thank you.
Although, we're still yet to go to contracting with them, so things may change slightly, but I will report any changes.
So your group's gonna do the RFP, you're gonna write it up? The RFP, or is that something that we have to do?
So the RFP should already be in your possession.
We have that, okay. Will you then, make sure you contact Samara? Or myself?
Yes, I will.
Getting that, what's going on with that?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Greg, you care just hanging out and visit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully I do a better job at this one than I did the last. I promise I'll try to do better in the future. This one is a resolution to appoint temporary employee as a part-time municipal code building inspector one. This is not supposed to be temporary.
It should be a full-time now. Yeah, of course, after that
It's
temporary,
a part-time.
it's part-time.
Right. Sorry about that. Resolution to appoint employee as a part-time municipal code officer, building inspector one. Whereas the town of Hurley Building Department has a vacancy for a part-time municipal code officer, building inspector one position. And whereas Robin Coleman has successfully interviewed for the position and has held an equivalent position in the Ulster County Civil Service classification in other municipalities. Therefore be resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley to appoint Robin Coleman to the part-time municipal code officer, building inspector one, civil service number 4430-9 competitive as an employee to work up to 20 hours per week beginning June 12th, 2024 at a rate of $32 per hour, fund line A 3620.1. So I guess first, yeah, I'll look at, thank you, Diane. And then we'll strike the temporary from the title and from the last paragraph.
Reason why it's temporary, because we use the one for Clark
For
Line.
Clark, yeah,
That's
it
why.
was reused.
Yes.
Any discussion?
I met with, Robin Coleman and
I did as well.
we all, yeah, and,
She works for Warson. She worked for Ulster County and also
she works at the town of Warson.
Town of Warson, right? I think she still does there.
She's still there, yeah, she's given the notice.
Right.
Yeah. But, my impression, and I guess Debbie's impression was that this is a great fit for our town. With her there, she's very qualified.
She's highly qualified, and has all the certifications that are required for that position. So, and that's the only person that we got that submitted an application with all of those qualifications. But I spoke with her as well, interviewed her as well, and I think she'll be a good fit for the department. All in favor of the amended resolution? Any opposed? Thank you.
This next one is a resolution to authorize supervisor to sign an engagement letter for Altamont Drive parcel. We have a property down the road over here that was bequeathed us, in the 1980s. And, my knowledge, this is something I just found out recently, that this is our property. And the neighbor wants to buy the property. So the thing is, though, we are going to have appraisal being done. And this is Tortorella appraisals. So a resolution to authorize supervisor to sign engagement letters for Altamont Drive parcel. Whereas Tortorella appraisals has submitted an engagement letter to appraise parcel number 55.11-3-50 with a completion timeframe of 1 week from receipt of the signed engagement letter. Therefore, right?
Yeah,
That's the engagement.
Yep, go down. This is
That's the wrong one,
engagement. Nope, nope,
Go up.
sorry. That's the
Well,
engagement.
that's the engagement, that's the,
Yeah,
all right, this is the resolution. Therefore be resolved by the town board of Hurley to authorize the supervisor to sign the letter of engagement with Tortorella appraisals for a retainer in the amount of $575.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Walk through the back.
Yeah, I think I need a little bit more background to understand this, but I mean, I know, I remember we had this discussion at the workshop meeting. But, Tim Moore, like, could you just bring us up to speed earlier?
There's a property, it's actually, the property size like, almost like a triangle.
It's more in relationship to the expenditure that I'm doing.
Well,
For us to sell it,
we have to sell it, we have to price it.
We have to know.
it has to go before and have to go to the public and all.
It's gonna go on a permissive
No,
referendum.
it's not, sorry. Matt?
Yeah,
What is
it is a permissive
Right,
referendum.
but it's not a
So you-
mandatory.
Yeah, it's not mandatory, so you can refer it,
Oh.
but you don't have to. But before the town can actually do anything, we definitely need to know what the market value is and if there is any other potential value or use to the tenant.
And somebody gave it to us in a,
18 years.
in a will.
It was left in a will, and basically the town hasn't done anything with it. It is a smaller parcel,
Got some utility
in a
easements,
residential. It does have utility easements across it.
Mike,
likely non-buildable.
There are some other building restrictions in the deed as well.
So, yeah, and we haven't maintained it, so it's also become a nuisance to the abutter, and that's why.
The only thing that I would add is that, when we sell it, put steps in there that no building come down, because if that lot is improved, the drainage is gonna come right out on Altamont, it's gonna create a nice situation, so that would be my only concern.
That we stipulate that it's not to be built on.
Yeah, plus, just to be clear, just gotta make sure the drainage doesn't come out.
Okay, even if they just clear. cut
So
it.
even if they clear it,
But it's steep. You know, what piece of this, that corner.
yeah. Yep.
You know, it's flat there, but it's not.
Yeah.
And which is the property that wants to purchase? To the
This
left or
house.
on top? Okay,
Yeah, this is the property here, right?
right.
Yes. And what's happening basically is here, and, we have not maintained that, and there's a lot of tree growth there, and a lot of the branches are falling on his property. You know, so he's either sending us a bill for, to trim the trees, or he wants to buy the place.
So this is the first step in determining what's the fair value of it.
Right, but then it has to be a referendum, that's a referendum in the fall to, allow this, sale.
That's what it looks like right now.
What a permissive, yeah, Matt, you want to explain to them what the difference is?
Yeah, so you have the option of putting it, it's not mandatory. So,
To put it on the back.
If a certain number of registered voters petition the town,
5%.
right, then it takes the
Then you have to-
town.
then-
Otherwise, it's just the action of the town board.
Thank you.
We'll get your map. So.
Okay, any further discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any, nay votes?
Mike, was that, you added that parcel to the insurance, so? You added that parcel to our insurance?
It definitely is.
Okay.
Well, I'll put it this way. It's been not our property since 1980, so it has to have insurance on it, obviously.
Okay. We had discussed that at the last meeting, making sure that it was insured.
Next thing. Old business, all right. Safety committee updates.
I still try to keep this short. I know it's been a long meeting. The safety committee did meet last Wednesday. They're going to be meeting every third Wednesday at 6:30 in the town hall. I'm going to give an update, Jeremy.
Say that again, every third Wednesday,
The third Wednesday of every month
third Wednesday of every month at 6:30 here.
at 6:30 here.
You got it.
They're actively already working on, road safety. Primary focus is on sidewalks and crosswalks, so school zone safety. And they've been reaching out to multiple community groups to get them engaged, get more feedback on if there's other roads or other areas that need to be addressed as well. And they're gonna be working with, Mike Schultes is going to be an advisor to them, so he can help with, they have questions on specific roads or issues as well. In addition to that, Eric Stewart reported back to us that they've started a feasibility for Zandhook to put culverts on both sides of Zandhook, as well as they're sending out an RFP out for contractor bids.
Yes.
Right? The EMS micro committee, I already actually mentioned this, but I met with Tim Hannigan. He's the attorney. He's very experienced in EMS and moving EMS into usually taxable districts. He worked with Marbletown, very closely with Marbletown, comes highly recommended. So we will be working on a retainer agreement based on that resolution with the money for that. The building department and zoning, I met with the town planner, Mike, and a bunch of us met with the town planner. We're gonna send them a list of high priority zoning changes for review. I believe, solar, there's a revision for solar in there. What was some of the other ones?
The town color.
The town map. The ZBA has an issue with their code for their term limits. We're gonna get that fixed. So a couple high priority, either high priority easy fix, zoning changes, that they can start to work on. And we're also found out that they can do grant writing. They have expert grant writers. And so we're gonna send them some ideas that we've had, and as well as they said that they've worked with and gotten other grants for some of the things that are high priority for us, EMS and roads and those things, for other areas, other towns. So they're gonna give us some feedback on that as well, things, some other grants that we can apply for.
That's about it.
Yes.
I just wanted one thing that I want to get it into the minutes of the meeting also, is for the culverts on the Zandhook Road project. We brought in Rolling Meadows Water Company because if they do the culverts on the right side of the road, there's a water line that needs to be replaced underneath there. So we need to add that little piece into our whole project to make sure that we're looking into the future, not.
And
Right,
just
we do it at the
short-sighted.
same time.
And one of the things also that we requested from them is to maybe divert the water from the south side of Zandvoort, so it doesn't go down hillside. They said they will look at that to see if they can do something where the problem doesn't go downstream, which is what's happening at hillside.
A lot of pieces of that puzzle.
Yes.
Okay, while we're training it, there were 11 bids that came in, and basically, sitting by myself, Mike Schultes and Dennis Larry were sat in with them. We were impressed. We were impressed with the bids that came in because they were much lower than what we thought they would be. And so, Dennis Larry is now reviewing everything going through. Mike Schultes will be reviewing it also, as well as myself, and we will have a company contracted very, very shortly.
Thank you. From me, my sister, our whole entire neighborhood, thank you.
So that'll come back around to the board to approve the final.
Of course.
expenditure. Yep.
Okay. And we talked about the brush, everything. That's it's gonna happen. All right. I know that Mike is really, he's pushing for that also.
That'll be for next year.
Okay, Delaware Engineering feasibility. This is interesting. What happens there? I guess, Tim, you want to do a little presentation on it?
Yeah, real quick. So we met with John Brust and some of the highway garage folks last week. Mike Bombs was there, Pete Glass, Mike Schultes, obviously. And this is what Delaware Engineering brought us. And we've actually already kind of discussed, that group then kind of rediscussed this in a way, in the light of like future planning. And so the idea that they had was to put the highway garage on this little tiny parcel here, which I believe is like 2.2 acres, 2.67 acres. It's very small footprint on the site. Doesn't give us any room to expand for the future. And, I plan to be here for the next 50 years. So I'd like the garage to be able to handle it, have the ability to be expanded and the site that it's on to be able to be expanded if needed. So I think that we need to look. So we came up with a kind of a better idea, which is to maybe reserve this for a future town hall, which this site would be, more situated for that. And the bigger use would be to, as part of the highway project, also do some work at the park to reconfigure the park, because we're already talking about adding tennis and pickleball anyway, right? So basically what we would do is alienate where this busted up tennis court is from the park and probably the current pavilion, right? And this would be, and we'd take a parcel and cut it out here, and that would, as well as this parcel, make it non-park land, replacing it with the parcel that is behind the old landfill. So we would tack it on so you'd have additional parkland and hiking resources available. But then also at the same time, you'd have configured with that the ball field and the tennis court and the pickleball, etc. So you get kind of a park with highway barn use, which I actually was over on the other side of the river at the town of Milan and saw what they had, and it's a pretty nice setup, like, because they're kind of complementary uses, because the highway barn generally is being used like 6 to 2, 6 to 3 in the afternoon, and most of the, so that, besides during a snowstorm when you're not going to be using the ball fields, that use is kind of done for the day. When the park use, you know, the after school park use would be the biggest thing. So it's kind of a complementary use. And also the other concern is if we went somewhere else besides like this area with the highway barn, then we'd be introducing that use into a different neighborhood, right? So we'd have all the abutters concerns about, oh, we got a highway garage that's, you know, starting trucks at 5, 6 in the morning. And then, you know, during a snowstorm, you've got the 24-hour-a-day thing going on, where that use is pretty embedded up here on Dug Hill Road already. So utilizing this and reconfiguring, there's going to be some, you know, we actually need an act of the New York State Legislature.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yes, to do this.
Yeah.
But I think for the long term, like looking out to the future and having a vision for doing this, I think that this is the right thing to do versus, you know, saying, okay, we're going to either jam the highway garage into another neighborhood of the town, or we're going to take the, you know, the highway garage and we're going to put it, you know, way out in the back here. And that's going to add $1 million and it's going to put it right out in the middle of the park, right? This is putting it in an area that's already been, you know, developed, and I think we can improve on that park. You know, I've always kind of felt that that park was pretty underutilized, especially since we haven't had, you know.
I think that the next bill.
Yeah, that's the,
Can you just zoom in on?
just want to find the,
Yeah.
I don't think there is.
If you put the parcels on there and then do the click thing, I'm pretty sure we can find it pretty quickly. Because there's like, yeah, this parcel comes up, yeah.
So
So what kind of questions?
So that area with the park and the tennis courts and that,
Yeah, all right.
So hang on.
how much area is that exactly?
I was thinking like you would do about roughly 5 acres here. We're waiting on John Bruss to come back with a new set of plans for this particular thing, but we're just trying to keep the public as up to date as possible as to how the discussions for this are going. And kind of what the ideas are.
So I have one more question. So that parcel of what is it?
2.67.
2.67, yeah.
Yeah, that's across the street from the tennis
Right,
courts.
but it is part of the same parcel.
Right, so put the tennis courts over there.
The idea is to alienate that at the same time. That way you could build, when we've already outgrown that, you could build a municipal town hall right across the street from the highway.
Right, and the thing is,
So then you'd have the whole municipal complex up there, and then this building would be
you know, the
disposed, whatever.
the beauty of that also is that we can share the septic, the new highway garage with the hot new highway, with the town hall there, as well as the water system. We share the same thing. You know, so that makes it, well, the best part about it, we own it. We're not dividing land there. And the thing is though, with the tennis court itself, there is severe damage in the tennis court right now.
It's like $100,000 of
We're
work.
gonna be, we're gonna have to redo the entire tennis court because there's cracks that are,
So as part of building the highway garage, upgrading the facility, some of the facilities of the park as well. A new pavilion, pickleball, tennis, and probably maybe macadam the parking lot, you know.
So more or less just rearranging things.
Yeah, we're just moving some things, exactly, moving some stuff around and less, you know, less going back in the backland where we're gonna put it in the front where we already have the services, right? The electric's right there, the road access is right there. We don't have to build a road up, we don't have to blast the rocks up in the back, all those kind of things, because John looked at doing that up there, which was the initial idea, and it's very costly. It's probably gonna run an extra $1 million just to provide access to the site. For bringing all the utilities in and the road, putting a septic up there on top of the rock where you get some earth to work with down closer to the road, so.
right, like what Tim said, with the,
And then leaving,
tennis court itself is.
So the tennis courts is part of the recreation funding? Is that true?
Could be.
Okay, or is it gonna be part, then it's gonna get incorporated into the highway?
It's gonna be part of the recreation grant that we're gonna get.
Right.
we're gonna bundle that, but there's gonna be some money from the highway that will also, like, we're gonna do it as a package. The idea is to upgrade some of the park as part of a package with the highway garage, as a way to.
And one thing also, we could save $1 million with EMS, using, like adding an EMS hub.
We can also potentially add, right, Debbie, we can add a bay to the highway garage with immediate road access to put some ambulances in.
According to John Brusk, that would save the town $1 million, right?
And that's centrally located where we could go out from either way down into town.
That's one aspect. And the thing is, though, we have John Brusk and Bonnie Franson, and from Nelson Hurley, they're working on alienating. The way you alienate this is very simply is now, we actually try to research, I know, Jeremy tried to research basically that was a designated as a park area. We found that it doesn't make a difference as long as we call it a town park. It's actually a town park. And to alienate it, you must get, Michelle Hinchy from the Senate, Shalana Streeter, the Assembly, to pass the legislation going through. And what I understand, it's not that hard to do.
Yeah, their offices have been contacted with your email address and return and all the others saying, let us know step by step what has to be done.
Yeah, and in fact, Michelle Hinchy sent me a book on how to alienate, sign into all this, so.
Meeting at town. And just change.
Okay, so basically, this is just an update on what's going through it.
Oh, okay.
I guess one last thing that I want to say, and this deals with my supervisor's report and so forth, why I'm not showing it, why I'm not having. The reason being very simply is that we are still looking at, finding out what's going on with 2023 budget. We have been paying in 2024, a lot of our bills that we're paying were dated back in 2023, some in 2022, one in 2021. And so we're paying that right now, and we're waiting until all these excess bills come into us. We have spent quite a lot of money in January, but not all that money was allocated for 2024. A lot of that we're paying right now is past bills. In fact, there were certain vendors that have suspended our account on payment. So we are right now, and I've got to hand it to Jim Quigley and to Wendy Trojak for doing a yeoman's job on trying to get things together. I sit there and I belabor Wendy and Jim. I need financial reports. And he says to me, I can give you financial reports, but they would be a lie. They wouldn't be accurate for all that. So we're waiting basically until we can actually literally, as the state controller has said to us, finalize the 2023 budget, get the annual financial review in, and then start 2024, so you know where you start from. We have no idea where we're starting from in 2024 at this point.
Yeah.
This one will point at the screen.
Oh, yeah. Everyone can just.
I'm asking the townspeople, be patient a little bit. We're trying our best to, get things squared away in all this. That's all it is. All right, so be patient with us.
I didn't make a plan to go by this, but I drove by and I was like, wait a minute, this is a highway garage with a ball field. So theirs happens to be looks like it's out in the middle of a former farm, but This is on the other side of the river, Town of Milan. And if you want to just roll through these photos, so that's like, this is how you drive in, and you can see there's like a store, hang on, go back. There's like a store, what looks to be sort of a storage type of a building for equipment over there on the left. You got the, you know, the old, everybody puts a plow by their highway department. And then, as you can see in the rear, there's the fields, and off to the right, there would be where the, when you flip the next slide, you can see where they have a pretty small, you know, like a 3-bay highway garage. And then they've got, you know, a bunch of equipment outside. And if you go to the next one, Maggie, you can see. Yeah. This is like, you know, where there's all the ball fields, you know, different, they've got basketball, and there you can see that's the little highway department. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, they're pretty like complementary uses actually, because, you know, the highway barns are kind of done by the time the kids get out of school and want to play on the fields, so. And even while they're working, you know, you would fence the highway department off anyway, so that even nobody would be running over there and jumping up and down on pipe and implements and different things, so.
Also, proposal. Last thing here, attorney, is, you want to say that with Matt? Public officers.
All right, so you've gone through all the old business,
Yes.
so, we're going to go into an
We
attorney
have to
client.
short-term rental.
Short-term rentals.
I guess that's his committee. Ted, you want to talk about short-term rental again?
Sure, we, formed a committee of, myself, Anthony Gaudioso, Joan Passione, Mike Bombs, and, Isha Poulos to discuss. There's been some, complaints lodged about the short-term rental law or short-term rental ordinance here in Hurley. So just to kind of like run through those and see if there are any recommendations for changes to make. Right now, there's nothing, sort of no agenda for it. It's more to just review and recommend. That's the first meeting of that's going to be 6 o'clock here, June 4th. A small group, so more to follow on that. That's probably going to be, you know, over the next several months that, you know, that we'll have more to follow on if there's any recommendations that come out of that. But we're just continuing to look at that as that's sort of a, you know, something that's a, you know, it's a newer concern that the town has with, you know, property use. So just trying to be at the forefront of helping everybody kind of get along in the neighborhoods with the ordinances.
All right.
All right. So following this, we're going to go into a closed attorney-client session and executive session. Attorney-client session is going to be discussing cedar litigation. The executive session is going to be discussing two matters pursuant to section 105F involving two separate employee discipline matters. So do we have a motion?
Well, so just before we do this thing here, let's do public comment on it. All right, we have a second public comment session right now.
Yeah.
Motion to open the public comment section. All in favor? Discussion. All discussion. All right, good.
I do have a safety concern that we were, talking about up in the Rolling Meadows area lately. Seems there's a
Who
lot
are
of,
you and what's your address?
oh, I'm sorry, my name's Betty Ann Clark, I live at 144 Hilltop Drive. I've been there 31 years. And lately, there seems to be a lot of, golf carts on the roads. And I'm really concerned, and they're not adults driving them, they're teenagers. So far, it's been pretty, you know, you know, there was only one incident where there was some young boys riding and I thought they were fooling around and whatnot. But, I really don't feel that that's safe, that's a safe thing, and I'm not
Minors
sure.
operating golf carts.
They don't,
You shouldn't be
I don't
on the
know
road.
who we should even talk to about that, like,
You should
the
talk to the
sheriff?
safety committee.
but I'm becoming worried. I mean, they're not bothering me.
But
what-
you know what?
once
If
there's
they
an
get in an
accident,
accident.
then all
That's gotta be,
everything's gonna break out.
Yeah, it's an enforcement issue.
It's an
That would, you would go contact the state
I was
police.
With
wondering-
minors operate.
I didn't know if I should contact state police or the sheriff.
Both of them have
Both.
jurisdiction, so.
yeah, yeah.
And you know, if there's a Rolling Meadows, website, you know, that people comment on, and the first time we commented about how, oh, we didn't know, and then you got people going, oh, well, you know, there is those new ATVs that are street legal, and I'm like, we're a living,
Street legal has to
gated
be registered.
community.
Does it have a plate on it?
No.
No, it's a golf cart.
Right, then it's-
So that's I'm becoming more concerned about that. It's like more and more. It's just like, and where I live is the main thorough to get into Hilltop from the old section of Hilltop. And they're up and down. And I'm sure in the summertime, it's gonna get worse
On
when
the
the kids
weekend,
are in the
probably
store.
about 5-6 times a day. You see them going up and down the road.
Motorcycles, it's, yeah,
Do
and
you
it's
think call
enforcement.
call the enforcement, we see that happens. We shouldn't be doing that.
Sheriff and state.
They call for that?
Either one.
Because the first time somebody gets in the accident, it's late at night, there's no headlights on them or something like that.
I didn't know.
They carrying golf clubs in them?
No. No, they're carrying some kids sometimes, but yeah, there's more than one.
All right.
I love golf carts too.
Let's-
Thank you for the, yeah,
We got,
we'll follow up with what, yeah.
I mean, I could call and let the state police know and the
Please do.
sheriffs,
Yeah.
but
please do.
you know, sometimes I
Take a
wonder.
photo worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Please do.
Okay.
I'd like to thank you again, former Supervisor Perry, Mike Schultz, for everything you've done for Wildwood. I know we've been going at this for 9 years with me. And the other thing I'd like to say, this has been it's been a long meeting, but one of the most enjoyable meetings. You guys get along. You can talk back and forth to each other. There's been no arguing like
You don't
that.
see us in there.
That's okay. See, I don't care what you guys do, but this has been a very pleasurable meeting. You guys work well together, and I'm really proud of all of you.
Thank you, Ken.
It's
Thank
been
you so
a
much.
pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, make a motion to end public comment. Oh, by the way, you haven't spoken, but you did, right? All right. Make a motion to end public.
Did you want me to say anything about the survey?
Oh, yeah, oh, yes, sorry.
Like you got people also there.
Waiting, yeah. We can talk about the surveys next week. Or you-
Yeah.
Well,
Just how many people have responded, I guess.
Yeah.
353 as of this morning.
What?
That's all I wanted.
So that's like 0.5% of the town?
Yeah.
That's good though.
Yeah.
We've done before.
Well, we got, no, these are residents of houses that have maybe 2 or 3 people in them.
Right, we understand.
These are homes you said.
Right, but anybody with the code can take the survey. It's not one per house. Like if there's 5 people, so that's 0.5% of the town.
A lot better than
Still
last time.
good. Oh, yeah.
What's the deadline?
So the survey on the card itself is the end of the month, 31st. And we're gonna hold it for an extra week. to see if we can-
You want me to say so online? You're gonna extend it?
Anybody here, just get
Yes.
the word out.
Okay.
Everybody who hasn't filled it out.
Maybe wait on saying it's extended until after the 31st, like so that we can see how many we get in for like right now, the deadline's approaching and then you get another tickler like that. Hey, we've extended it one more
We
week.
can announce it, yeah, well, the 31st is a couple of days away, but yeah, okay.
Do it like an announcement, like, hey, this is closing out, get your voice heard. Yeah.
So you are gonna extend it, but we'll wait till like the 30th to say so.
Yes.
Or the first.
All right. Any other public comment? You haven't said anything.
I know. Holding my tongue.
All right. All right, I make a motion to, end public comment number 2.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Accepted. I make a motion to go into executive session. At this point, I don't know how long we'll be there, but we'll.
Can you clarify to talk about 2, employee disciplinary matters, pursuant to Public Officers Law 105F, and also for any time.
I invite also Stacy Kellogg to come in. And
Matt,
I also invite, Nate.
Should I turn back the recording or do you expect?
No, I,
Do we anticipate taking any actions following the?
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
So you-
Question to ask of the town board. We have also, Jim Quigley here, who wants to, address us. Can he come in right now or should he come in?
is he addressing us on one of those issues? If he's not addressing us on one of those issues, then he's not in the executive session.
You can address us now.
We can address it.
You wanna? Jeff? What? You wanna address, what you wanna talk about here or? No, I'll talk to you more. All right.
Thank you, Jim, again.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, so the recording is being ended. So this is the adjournment. Okay, good.
Well, we will adjourn following.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be John Terry just did all the time.
That's fine. I don't before the end of the weekend.
I don't think it's here, please say what's coming in tomorrow.
I'm taking off. Call me if you need me for anything. I got a week off. Got a week off. Yeah. You're anytime.
You're getting a hug. You're getting a hug, bud. You're getting a hug. Thank you.
It was everybody. It wasn't just, it was the whole board.
I know, I know. I said, you guys are amazing. I'm alive.
Okay. Very good. I'll see you in a week.
Come on in.
Come on.
So.